Apa kita
Look, I know it's been a couple years since you done this whole analyst thing on the broadcast, Reese, but you know, I think we're starting to see a bit of the rust here, man. Look, of course, Malibu and Vico are top, right? We can never doubt that. In fact, they've been probably my favorite reload team to watch so far, and I think uncontested things would look a lot better for them. But they're just game after game, 50-50, which is what both teams are suggesting is what's going to happen. You know, you're just not likely to come out of it looking good, especially since we just haven't really seen something like this in a top-level reload game, right? This is probably the best reload lobby we would have ever watched at a competitive level, which is why I'm leaning more towards Chap and Flexi, man. They got two dogs landing on the west side who are going to be barking and sniffing around the POI, giving them problems when they decide to, right? Landing on that west side means they have the options. They have the, you know, possibilities of getting involved in that fight and third party in it where necessary. And when it looks a bit too messy and they don't want to get involved, they can just dip and leave, right? And it's a less committal. There's more options. I think on paper, it's not the exciting pick, but I think it's the common sense pick of just who's most likely to do best out of this triple con situation. And so I'm going to say Flixie and Chap come out on top. And I think it works out so good for them that they take one of the top 3 slots and qualify for LAN today.
I think what you're saying is the easy pick. That's really it.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm just chiming in here because I can't believe no one's saying I drop a Marius. Like, Marius had such a big 2025, and iDrop is who everyone was talking about at the start of Chapter 7, so I can't wait to see what trouble they're going to cause at Slurpy Swamp. But we've got more trouble ahead for these duos, because landing to the south of Sky and Scroll, but also Demus and Dom, our Polish powerhouse duo, are landing to the north, Levin.
Yes, this is a really good situation for them, Reese, right? We've sat here and talked about Slurpy Swamp being a great POI, and one of the biggest benefits of landing Slurpy Swamp is that center map positioning. And so they get that center map positioning without actually having to land that Slurpy and get involved in all that mess. This is really set up for them to do well today.
Absolutely, and you know, if you know anything about Reload, when you see these supply drops spawn, that just shows you where the next zone's going, and then being mid-map, they have access to go to any of those as quickly as possible. Their coach, Sven, has already messaged me earlier in the week asking about it, so I know they're super prepped, best position in the map for the most part. I definitely expect these guys to come into top 5.
Hang on, Reese, are you coaching Coach Sven?
No, I would never. I would never be the source of information for lots of people. I would never do that. I would never dip my fingers in there.
Sounds like Reese might have some favourites. Whose favourite, though, is Sky and Scroll going into this one? Are they yours, Levin?
Look, I think ultimately, right, when you look at competitive Fortnite in EU in 2026 across Reload and Battle Royale, you have to say Sky and Scroll have just been the best team in EU, right? Like, they've just been so impressive in all the modes. And I think the biggest advantage today in this lobby, Reese, is that in a very chaotic Reload game, in a world where right now people are trying to figure out really what the meta of Reload is, and this is the first real test of what that is. A team like this where their chemistry is just so important. You look at the gameplay right now on your screens, the shockwaves make these endgames so chaotic, but these guys are so on the same page. They think the same, they play, you know, interchangeably at times, which will just give them a big advantage in this lobby.
Yeah, they've always figured out that meta, which allows them to play that chemistry so well. And in this, for the most part, they're just playing a lot of low ground because players are just shockwaving and chopping players out. How do you prevent that? Just go in the bottom layer. That's it. And that's basically what they're doing for the most part.
Can we actually switch focus slightly to the west side of the map just quickly while we have time? Because there's a Danish duo we haven't spoken about, and that is obviously Pablo Wingo and Chino. Reese, I'm incredibly excited to see them in this lobby, but do you think they're going to be in our top 3 tonight?
Oh, almost definitely. They're probably one of our best and most simple picks. Like, looking into last year, these were two of the best players undoubtedly on the region. You know, you had a FNCS win a second and then a really good placing at Globals despite being contested. They're one of the also teams who've come from a trio and then just stayed together as a duo to actually perform. You know, if you look through EU, most players have split up and gone a completely different way. This is proven success, so I'm interested to see how they end up doing here in Reload as well.
I don't have much to add other than the fact that they are crazy at the game.
Why is Fredoxy not making it into the lobby tonight, though?
If I speak, I prefer not to speak. You know, let's just say Fredoxy's top player. I love Fredoxy, that's my guy. But you know, he's probably just not been as locked in as Pablo and Chino in 2026 when it comes to the Fortnite. At least we'll say that.
Okay, Fortnite recession indicator. Frankie Ward making things really awkward on the desk. Right, it is time for game number 1 of the Fortnite Reload Elite Series. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Come on, man. You know I'm always ready.
He's always ready! And so hopefully our attacker wants a Carter.
Look, Frankie, one thing's for sure, Reload stocks at an all-time high here today. And with the Elite Series Finals, first of 4, it's crazy to think about, Takata. It has been a huge challenge, so many teams to overcome, even to make it into those heats in the first place. And now to see this set lobby play out in real time. We've got 8 matches that we're going to be breaking down, and this is just the first of many.
Oh yeah, and to reiterate, we literally have not seen this caliber of competition in a Reload tournament before. So small things like upgrading your Morphite weapons, you're not going to get as many free tags to do that. Recovering from a knock or an Elim. Once these players hear that rift in the sky, you're getting laser beamed in half a second. I mean, these players know what they're doing, and the battle bus is ready. So let's head right in to game 1.
Might as well call it Reboot Doomsday, because that's what it's going to feel like if you find yourself on the receiving end of those early eliminations. For some teams, it will be absolute feasting, others potential famine, but they're all trying to avoid it, and everyone just aiming to try and climb as high on that leaderboard as possible. But Malabuka and Vico, they waste absolutely no time. I drop immediately, going to be extinguished from the lobby. And Maria's forced to just try and retreat, see if he can maybe create a little bit of space here. But you know, Vico, Malabuka, they are going to be on the hunt now. And they're not the only ones. I mean, you've also got Chap and Flixie nearby. But get a little bit of a run back. How it went down. iDrop just not as swifty on the drop there. Malabuka just beaming him the moment he turns around.
Drop diff, iDrop Marius though, now pushing onto Vico in a 2v1, not only getting the knock full Elim, now what I'm keeping in mind as well, the surrounding areas. One of the favorites, Sky and Scroll, will also be looking to later capitalize on this engagement, but for now, it looks like there's gonna be a bit of calmness to the storm.
It seemed a little bit greedy there from Vico. He wanted to try and just further pressure iDrop, just continue stacking up eliminations, because keep in mind, 3 points apiece. That is a big way to build up a lead here. But now Malabuka, Vico, forced to retreat, although temporary. Pixofsy also lurking in the distance, but Darm and Demish, they've already made their presence known. They seem as if they're also looking to get involved over by Slurpy Swamp. Far east, though, Shark Teeny. And there were rumors of potential splits here between Momsy and Sato. Didn't really anticipate that these two teams would want to immediately clash head-to-head. Dirty Dogs certainly a POI that can be split both ways.
Yeah, we were kind of having talks. Will they be fighting each other? I mean, they're some very aggressive teams, but both elite veterans in the Fortnite space. So especially with the zone pulling far, the game plays out so fast. The map's so small. You can take those ticks early on, but we were talking about it. You know, that storm sickness, especially in a finals lobby, might end up being a bit prevalent. But Haris now in pink, playing the aggressive game.
Under this, he's just trying to see if he can bring down Pota's side. He's going to have to hope that Asa's going to be able to back him up here, but dropped into the water. Some nice shots exchanged, but Pota's side, they're going to wind up just looking for an even trade here. Well played to Pink to cover fire, but Pota's side, he'll be forced for the reboot. Asa just doing what he can to try and scramble here. It's just so tough. Forced to retreat steep as possible into boom and base, but Pink, they know what kind of advantage they have to work with. And not only that, but these reboots are also going to draw the attention of some other teams. Pink, now just looking to tag team Asa. He's doing everything in his power to just buy a little bit more time for his duo. And we still got trouble building at Slurpee. Hydra one more time, going to bring it to Malibuca, only this time it's revenge. A nice elimination here to even up the score. Now 2 eliminations in total for iDrop and Vico. Malibuca maybe back to the drawing board here. I know our analyst Des was riding really high on Vico and Malibuca's performance in their heats, and for good reason. Those guys came out on top in Heat 1, and it didn't even seem all that close. They were really in control, but at the same time, iDrop and Marius, this is just a whole different tier of duos that you're dealing with.
This is what I love about Reload. You can go down off spawn and still have a chance to make that comeback and win that engagement. iDrop with 2 eliminations now as zones closed in. They're kind of taking pop shots back and forth at each other, but no full commit yet. We do have a duo on the edge of zone. It's going to be Flixie and Ko just kind of looking back, listening to the shots, but so far, we got a bit of farming time.
Well, Chap's already found 2 eliminations himself. Maybe a little bit of a review here for how that went down. Some nice pressure onto comeback. Chap, Flixie. Man, that is just the last thing you want to see on the other side, breaking down your walls. But Marius and iDrop, I am really impressed by the message they are sending very early on here. What initially seemed like it was going to ride heavily in Malibuca and Vico's favor. No, that bit of pushback, that could be kind of the opening scenes towards maybe creating a little bit of hesitation. And in this sort of format, with Reload being so fast action, I mean, Flixie, Chap, another elimination. Chap just already 9 points off elims, and Pix, comeback. This is going to be very problematic now because Pix doesn't have a whole lot of builds left to work with either. Not the loadout you want to see. I mean, maybe he can come out huge with this Sentinel shotgun, but at the same time, Takada, when you've got Flixie and Chap who just look so healthy, so stacked, you know that they're going to keep trying to punish comeback from the sky.
Yeah, I mean, that's the issue. You know, Reboot's technically disabled later on in the match, but for Pix and Comeback here, with the amount of teams around them, I mean, you could basically count Comeback as his Reboot's almost being disabled as well with the amount of times he might get farmed here. We'll see, though. For Chap and Flixie, they are making use of their surroundings, getting those hard mats, and there's still quite a few players playing the Ticks and Storm, making their way as next zone has appeared.
Still very impressive, though.